Hi, I'm Ben Fox. I'm here with my good friend from childhood, Quinn Durant. I have retinitis pigmentosa. I'm going blind slowly, and I found this out in my 20s. Quinn and I were friends when I was about 9 years old until I was 14 years old, and Quinn was the first person I ever knew who was legally blind. And I didn't quite understand what that meant at the time, and now that I'm older, we're reuniting today for the first time we've seen each other in 21 years.
21 years, long time.
So Quinn, can you tell me what it was like to be legally blind as a child and how the last 21 years been, my friend?
When was it that we met, Ben?
When I was 9 years old, I moved down the street from you.
I was down the street, and we went to the same church. We got to be very good friends. What was your initial impression of me?
I always thought you had a lot of spark, and I remembered I was a new guy coming in, and so I didn't really have any friends when I first got to town. You were my first actual friend in Sandy, Utah. I don't know if you knew that. And, you know, it was interesting because I didn't understand you being blind. I remember my parents telling me, watch out for Quinn, he doesn't see very well. And I was like, what do you mean doesn't see very well? And I specifically remember whenever I think about you playing Chip and Dale on the Nintendo original, and here, just I'm looking at the camera, we'd have the screen like this, right? And all the kids would be way back, and Quinn would get right up to the screen, and he'd look out of the corner of his eye like this, and he'd stay out of the frame of the TV so we could still see the TV too. But I'll never forget that. And that's, my mom would try to explain to me, well, Quinn's legally blind, and he can only see out of a little bit of his eye. And I was so young, I just couldn't really grasp that. And I just didn't really think of you as blind. I never thought anything different about you at all, because you always were there. You played sports with us. I remember that.
I did a little bit of different kind of sports. I wasn't good at it all the time, mind you. I think I was probably best at one of the frisbee ones. I think it was free frisbee or something similar to that I was pretty decent at.
Right.
One of the things that we did when I was young was I went skiing.
Nice.
This was up at Park City, Utah, and they had this program that I, as a visually impaired person, I would wear this bright orange vest, okay? And I'd have an instructor who was also, always there with me, and I would just fly down these mountains, and people on the sides of me, they're probably thinking, wow, obviously with the orange vest, kind of stay out of the way a little bit.
Right.
But I was going fast. I didn't slow down. My perception was I'm just like everybody else, except for when I'm not.
When you were young, did you understand about being legally blind? And also my second part of that question is, how were you accepted into the blind community, as a child? What was that like for you?
And so you're in between two groups of society, that which is the sighted community or the general public, and the blind community, which has its own challenges. So where then do you fit in to these communities? And that is going to be partially up to you.
Right.
How will you interact with the world? Will you be interacting with, you will be interacting with sighted people, but on what basis or in what capacity are you going to be interacting with them? It's different. Growing up that way, I don't notice it as much. But you, on the other hand, are transitioning later in life.
That's true.
To being visually impaired. How do you feel about the contrast to that?
I was looking forward to talking to you about the contrast to that, Quinn. It's scary. It was a lot more scary a couple years ago. I got to tell you, the thing that's brought me back into being excited about living is the fact that I have friends now that are blind and visually impaired. And I want to tell you specifically, and I just figured everybody in the world knows their neighbors, is excited to see their friends every day. And I've taken that attitude outside of Utah. I've traveled some. And that being said, I realize that not everybody's quite that way, but they respond to that attitude. So I've got a good attitude, that's for sure.
Yeah, but you got to have that positive attitude.
And life is a mirror. Life is a mirror. It reflects back to you what you show it. And there's certain things that are always true. That's a guide dog barking. Hey, Sam. So basically, how do I deal with this now? How am I transitioning? I'm looking for good things to happen. I'm looking for good people, but I'm taking a good attitude with me everywhere I go, and I'm maintaining that, and I'm seeing it reflected back at me. And it's like it's perpetuating to have that good attitude, to meet other people that are also transitioning to blindness, to meet people that are fully blind, and just partnering with them and partnering with their good attitudes and their energy. I've been swept up in it now. And I don't think that if I was sighted fully like I used to be, or was hoping when I realized I was going blind, hoping I could see again, I don't think that I'd be where I am today. I don't think I'd have such a good outlook on the life that I'm about to embark upon. I've already started on. So to me, blindness has opened doors. And I didn't think that that would be the case. And I had about a year of a really dark time where I misunderstood what was possible for me, where I misunderstood what was possible for the blind. People that are blind, pardon me, I've realized it's a people first language. We're people that are blind, not blind
Right.
people. And it's little things like that though.
If I were a bitter individual or surly, do you think that we would ever have become friends? Do you think?
I don't know. I can't even imagine you that way.
Kind of hard to imagine, right?
Hard to imagine.
So-
I always remember you full of energy, full of drive, ready to go. Good attitude. And
I literally
ready to speak
ran a
out.
lot.
Ready to speak out, Quinn.
For better or worse sometimes.
Amen to that.
Were there times where I was, maybe a little bit depressed? Yeah. But everybody gets like that sometimes. That's normal. Growing up is hard. Everyone has challenges that they face, whether it's visual, whether it's hearing, whether it's developmental, or whatever your difficulties are, whether it's internal or external. Everyone has difficulties in their life, and part of it is how you deal with that in your life makes a difference.
What do you see right now? If you're looking at me, could you kind of like, with your hand, can you see my whole face? What's it looking like?
My visual field is this size.
Okay. Show that again. Sorry, I'm going to follow your hand. Let's
Okay.
see it. Okay. I see your hand.
This size.
Okay.
So this is the width that I have,
Okay.
and I'm looking directly at you.
Okay.
And this here is the height. So you kind of get an idea of my box here.
Oh, I wasn't seeing the whole box. Hold on. Okay. Hold it.
Hold on. Yeah,
All right.
it's about that.
Okay. Okay.
So that's my box. Now, distance-wise, I can see your shape. I can't make out your eyes or your details in that manner. I can't tell your facial features. I can tell that you have hair.
Okay.
I can vaguely tell that you have glasses. I know generally where you are. And part of it is the lighting is, there's shadow across your face from my point of view. But that's about what I see currently.
Has that changed over the last 21 years?
It has. My sight has decreased in small volumes. I used to be somewhere around 2200. Now I'm about 2260. That may not seem like a significant change, but it most definitely can. Particularly when in dim areas or dusk. Dusk is dangerous for me.
Right.
Due to the fact that my eyes don't track as easily during that time period, and the gradual darkening that dusk does between the transition between light and dark,
Right.
my eyes continually adjust, but it takes them a while to adjust. So I've got this hour-long period. But a lot of it is your attitude towards your situation. When you have an upbeat attitude, it makes a huge difference, especially in the way that others perceive you.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I learned growing up. And I had a great community in which I lived. A lot of us went to church together, and they didn't treat me any differently than anyone else in the group. They knew I was visually impaired, and if I needed something, if I needed to see something a little bit differently, I'd let them know. I need a little help here. And they were very, very understanding of that, and it made a huge difference in the way that I was able to interact with people.
You're a little choked up, Quinn. For me, it was a big deal to me when they told me that I'm going to go blind all the way one day. And the first thing that I thought about, I was leaving the doctor's office, and I was like, I don't even know anybody that's blind. And I remembered you. And like I just previously said, we hadn't seen each other in person 21 years. We're both from Utah.
21 years.
And we're right here in Georgia now. And we're meeting in Georgia. And that's really special to me. But that being said, I was running through my memories of have I ever known anybody who's blind? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Well, Quinn was blind. I didn't realize that at the time, though. And as an adult, when I thought back on my memories of our childhood, it gave me a lot of hope in myself and in things I could do. And at that time, I was like, I need to find where Quinn's at. I got on Facebook. You're not on Facebook, Quinn.
No, I'm not. I don't have any social medias right now.
So, I was able to reach out to some of our old high school friends, and they put me in contact with your mother, who obviously helped me get in contact with you.
Right.
And here we are today. Dude, you're just such a cool guy, Quinn. You are an inspiration to me. And I know that here in the blind community, we don't like to tell each other that all the time, but you are. And so, I appreciate you being strong. And your memory in my mind, as I went through my blind training and stuff like that, I thought of you a lot. So thanks for that.
And I appreciate that.
That's all.
And all of you individuals out there who are struggling with visual acuity issues, blindness, nearsightedness, these transitions, there are wonderful examples out there. Be one of them.
Right.
You don't know whom you'll touch. You don't know whom you will help in the long run.
Thank you, Quinn. I know that you got to go home before traffic hits, but it meant the world to me that you came out today.
Thanks for having me on, Ben.
Thanks for being here, my friend.
Appreciate
Shake hands. Right on, my brother. Utah blowed up. Boom. Thanks, sir. All right, guys. That's interview part 1. We're far from done.
Again, that's why I asked you about your contrast. The difference now, transitioning later in life as opposed to having this from the beginning. There is a difference. And it does affect people in different ways. People who are born visually impaired or blind, to them, it's just the way life is.
Right.
To those who are transitioning, it's an ordeal. This is difficult for them.
Maybe.
I gotta tell you, man, I didn't think I was gonna be that emotional, actually, but I just kept thinking about you as a kid. We'd ride the bus home together, and, I just remember all that real clear.
Back from the
Yeah.
summer place, yeah.
Real clearly.
Yeah, we did have a lot of fun, Ben.
Yeah, we did.
We did have a lot of fun.
Yeah.